not like this bizarro bunch of like wackadoo premises. It's like, as you listen closely and everyone's being very sincere, you realize, oh, this is deeply funny because of how true and honest everyone is playing it, and how wrong the moves are that Dr. Sheila makes.
What's going on? My name is Brew. Welcome back to another Audacy check-in. Today we have some super special guests, the minds and the host of Amy Poehler's podcast, Say More with Dr. Sheila? ? And Liz, the incredible producer, who is a surprise joining us as well. How you guys doing?
We are so great. Thank you so much for having us. We're thrilled to be able to talk about this. It's so fun to do.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, obviously a podcast is such a fun thing and freedom, but then to get to do something with, your theme and genre is just such a whole nother thing. And I can't wait to delve into both your minds when it comes to this project. How has it been overall so far? The podcasting experience. How do you feel about it?
I mean, yeah, we're huge fans of podcasts. So we had listened to a ton, and, it was entering a new genre for us of doing a podcast. Like, I came from sketch and improv and TV and movies, but hadn't gone into the podcast world yet. So that was pretty exciting to be like, ooh, how do you do this over here? Like, big fan, and trying to figure out how you put it all together. And then the process of doing it was just awesome, because it kind of reminded me back, like, of our sketch and improv days back in Chicago and UCB and Second City and Improv Olympic and all these places that we come from. It was like getting to tap into that joy again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The podcast, Dr. Sheila, and thank you for saying in the form of a question, because she is not technically a doctor. So you have to put that
legal
question there. That's right. It just protects her and you. It came off of a desire to just improvise with our friends. And like Liz said, we both are consumers of a ton of different kinds of podcasts. If you look at our phone, you'd have everything from self-help to murder to, celebrity interviews, money management, to deep dives into small Irish towns. And so those genres we're obsessed with. So we kind of wanted to start, we do what we like to do, which is when we love something, we make fun of it. So we wanted to just have a lot of like fun with this idea of a couples therapist, the intimacy that comes from that, how people share their intimate things online, and to have a person in charge who isn't very good at her job.
Well, I love it. Podcasts, such an integral part of so many people's routines. Like, there's nothing like waking up at 8 a.m. and listening to a murder podcast with your coffee. Like, it's kind of a weird
I know.
World, did you guys do research for it? Were you like listening to almost do like feedback and kind of shape yours? And also, how was the adjustment? Because again, you talk about improv, and I feel like that's such a huge part, but it's almost like voiceover with acting. Like, I'm sure it takes a little minute to get used to it.
Yeah, we did a ton of research, and honestly, we've just been researching because it's just stuff we actually listen to. Mm-hmm. But what is fun?
Yeah, it's the easiest research to do, because it's like, guess what? We're already doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And what's fun about, doing a couples therapy podcast is you have two people in there with a want or a desire, right? Like, they have a problem that you get to play around with. So it's a fun game to play for improv, because what we've really been doing is just kind of giving two people like, one of you thinks the other one is cheating. Let's talk about it. Like, it's just that loose. And then, and so you're right. It's not a visual medium. So you have to enjoy the audio of it all, and you get to kind of create, there's a lot of fun and play in that. Like, I think there's a couple times where Dr. Sheila, points out that one of her clients is in their pajamas, and there's just like different. Yeah. And it's just this different stuff you can do like from an audio sense. It's super fun.
That's so funny. I wanted to ask about the process for it. Like, and of course, how much is improv? And it's wild that it's just like, is it like one-liners? Like, here is what the topic is, and have fun with it. Like, Liz, maybe you have, the structure for that.
Yeah, Amy, we would get together, and we had another writer, Alice Stanley, who joined us, and we would kind of brainstorm a bunch of ideas. in comedy, they kind of say, you know, write what you know. And I've gone to therapy for a long time. I love therapy. I love couples therapy. So I know therapy. Not a therapist, of course, but both Amy and I like to pretend we are, and that we love to give people advice. So we just kind of brainstormed, like, what are different problems couples could have, you know, and then what would somebody like a character, Dr. Sheila, do to try and help them, knowing that she's not really a therapist and she might have some, you know, not so great ideas. And so getting to do maybe sometimes like what we think our therapist actually wants to say, because she's not actually one, you know, she gets to break those boundaries and do something kind of wild with it. So once we had, you know, knew the problem, knew the characters, kind of knew what it's called, the game in improv, knew what the game was going to be. Like there's an episode coming up where the couple like is doing that thing where they're bickering all the time because they're like keeping score of, well, I do this, well, you do that, well, I do this, well, I do this. So I'm kind of like winning. And then Dr. Sheila is like, yeah, you guys are pretending like there's some scorecard here. That doesn't work. You need a real scorecard. The points need to be real. It needs to be counted. Somebody needs to win this marriage, you know? And so like, we know that's the game. And then we get really funny comedians and improvisers and friends to come in, explain that to them, and then go, okay, have fun, and like get to roll on it.
And the feedback, what's been so good is we've heard from actual therapists, marriage and couples therapists who are like, I love this, which makes us so happy, because if we can give them any amount of laughter, I mean, their job is really hard and it's been a wild couple of years. So I'm sure they are booked to the gills. So the fact that they're seeing something in there they like means a lot to us.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it in that regard, where it's like an escape for therapists, like something to make them laugh. You know, obviously we're having a great time because we're like, this is ridiculous, but they're like, no, this is stuff that happens.
I've heard this happens all the time in my office. Yeah.
What was a topic while you're brainstorming these things that was like you wanted to do for an episode, but you're like, nah, we can't go there and do that?
Not much so far. I mean, I think we're so excited to make more, and it feels like what's wild about podcasting in general is how intimate it feels, right? Like you said, people are walking around right now listening to this show right now in their headphones, in their car, like you feel with them. And because of that, people reveal a lot of stuff. And you feel very close to the people that are revealing something. It's a really intimate medium. So I imagine that there won't be much that we think we can't try to tackle. And again, we tackle it badly. So just know we don't have the pressure of having to get it right. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Fix anyone.
Yeah, I actually can't think of something where we went, oh, let's not go there. I think if anything was calling to us and maybe even like scares you a little bit in that way, we kind of keep going there because that's sort of what comedy is.
Absolutely. Well, I love to hear that it's been such a like easy process of writing these topics, because you have 10 episodes coming out for this season. And then hopefully, you know, you have so many banked that, and life always gives you constant inspiration and prep for these types of things. So you could do this for as long as you want to. And then on that note of, you know, your topics and scenarios, they really are super relatable to so many different things without it being serious. Was that a goal of yours, like going into it?
Yeah, like we wanted to treat it, you know, it's interesting with, you know, we wanted it to be improvised. So it felt kind of alive and energetic. And sometimes with scripted stuff, it can feel a little weighed down, a little like kind of slow. And the other thing we wanted was, we wanted it to feel pretty grounded. So people are really coming in, you know, it's not like this bizarro bunch of like wackadoo premises. It's like very stuff like, how do I get my partner to communicate more? How do I think that they're being unfaithful? Like, do we know what the problem is? Does one make more money than the other? Is there codependency? Like, they're all actual issues that people have. But if you listen, and we hope that what will be delightful and is delightful to us is that as you listen closely and everyone's being very sincere, you realize, oh, this is deeply funny because of how true and honest everyone is playing it, and how wrong the moves are that Dr. Sheila makes. Really pushes people to take a left when they should take a right, And, whether it's Liz plays Dr. Sheila's producer on the show, and Dr. Sheila never has time to do her own credits. So she's always kind of asking Liz to do it in a very boomery way, and not taking, account of Liz's time. And so just that we hope that you'd like that character. I think a good character, like Liz said, we've worked in sketch a long time. A good character is one that you could kind of picture what they would do on the weekends, what they would say about something, like what's their point of view. So the hope is that you like her ridiculous point of view and that you come every episode to see how she's going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's incredible, again, having your friends get to be a part of the podcast and play along with you. And you've released, future guests that'll be on the show. This is for both of you. Who's like a dream guest, that dead or alive, if you could be a part of an episode with Dr. Sheila, who would you choose?
Ooh, okay. Got to think on that.
I've got one, Liz. I feel like I'd have, just because we love to have people on that are kind of natural partners anyway. It's always fun. But I'd love to have Martin Short and
That's
Steven.
what I was going to say too, Amy. Oh my God. Honestly, like we are
Two peas in a pod.
That's amazing. I was like, let me think. And I was like, I'm going to say Martin Short.
They're both such incredible improvisers, and they're just so fast and sharp. But we've had like great duos on that are coming up, and it's fun to have real couples that are on that want to like play around, as well as, like we said, people that just kind of like feel like a couple when they're not. But
Yes.
down the line, like, I don't know, let's get William and Kate. Let's get them in here.
There we go. Perfect.
Wow. That'd be groundbreaking. Let's make it happen. We'll flip this out to him. We got some connections. We'll see what we can do.
Dr. Sheila would love to get in there.
She's obsessed with the Royals for sure. Obsessed.
Bring them all in, honestly.
She knows everything.
She's such a royal. She loves it, and she would be. And she, I feel like halfway through, she'd start to pick up a British accent.
I don't know if it's the comedian, the actress in you that naturally sounds like you should be a therapist. It's only when you hear the advice, you're like, oh no, this is not, like, this is terrible. But was that something you...
Let me just say, you've just said the perfect compliment to Amy.
It's total dream.
Amazing. Did any part of you want to be a therapist?
100%. I mean, yes, I feel like I feel that feeling of, I can feel like I can step outside of myself sometimes and see what I think other people are feeling. I've always been, I think when you're an actor, you have to be pretty observational. So you have to kind of pay attention to what people are thinking or feeling or trying to get access to it. But I appreciate that so much. In fact, behind me, if you can see right there, is a fake therapy license that the people on the set of Baking It gave me, because when we were shooting this unscripted show, Baking It, on NBC with Nick Offerman, I would try to get the contestants, like I'd really try to get in there and be like, I really want to figure out what's underneath these cookies. Like, and so everyone was like, you want to be a therapist? So they gave me a fake certificate. So that's where Dr. Sheila was born.
Full circle at this point. I mean, you got the...
Do you feel like a therapist when you talk to people?
I do something similar like this on my actual radio show. And you talk about like the people with the real scenarios. Like I talk to those ones. So I almost feel like a weird responsibility, and it's nerve-wracking to try to be helpful in some sense. But yeah, it's just being a lending ear and being able to talk to people. That's like half the battle. And
ask questions, right? Like, I mean, that's what, like, you realize in going to therapy that they just ask you a lot of questions to make you say more, and then I've like, now I'm a parent, I have 2 kids, and like, I realize that sometimes the best way to, they don't want your advice ever. Right. So it's just like, you just kind of name how somebody's feeling, like, oh, you seem upset. Tell me more. And you're like, oh yes, God, therapists are nailing communication.
By the time this is over, you guys are gonna be really, really good at the whole therapy thing,
Or we're gonna be in jail for impersonating.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see how long the question mark can hold up in court. But what's so exciting is that you guys are in like an interwoven universe of podcasts now. You're gonna have other people coming into the same realm as Dr. Sheila. What other type of shows would pair well
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, we're developing a couple other shows right now that we're excited that live in that world. The first that's coming out is the Chris Chapman Do-Over, which is Ike Barinholtz plays kind of a masculine forward interviewer who is trying to learn and change in real time. So his podcast is going through some changes. They're getting a female co-host, and he's trying to get 1% more female listeners. And so
he's at 100%. He has 100% male audience, and he's really trying to change that.
Wow.
So that Chris Chapman Do-Over is guests and him working it out. And then we also have Women Talking About Murder, which is coming out, which is Liz and the great Emily Spivey, and they're kind of two like nice Southern sister-in-laws who are talking about murder and obsessed with true crime until one of them goes missing. And so like those three genres were already recording already. Maybe we can come back and talk to you about it. They all live in each other's world. And then, yes, it would be amazing to have real people dip in and out of these worlds too, because I have found the podcast world they really collaborate with each other a lot. You know, there's guests on each other's shows. And our goal is to have almost like a Christopher Guest style community that you care about and know that visit each other's shows. But yeah, we're open to real people too if they sign our 100-page waiver and release.
I would love to read that. It's going to be thorough, to say the least. And you also have, I love that I get to say we're like almost coworkers now, but you also have your own Audacy station for Dr. Sheila, who plays Shania Twain, Billy Joel, Dolly Parton, all her favorites. What concert would we find Dr. Sheila just getting blasted at?
Shania Twain. Yeah, I think Shania Twain is her number one. And yeah, you'll see that she needs to leave a session at some point to get to that Shania Twain concert. So that Shania, I think, is the one thing that takes priority over her patients. She is very important to Dr. Sheila.
Yeah,
I feel like that's where a lot of the theory came from. A lot of her, mental fortitude came from those lyrics from Shania.
She thinks that song, "Man, I Feel Like a Woman," like busted everything wide open. And she's it all.
Shout out to Shania.
Relates to Shania. Shania is a hardworking woman who grinded and the hustle culture. And, Dr. Sheila is a boomer. So she really believes in this deep, somewhat false and very patriarchal idea that hard work is what got her there. But what she sees in Shania is a grit, and she likes that in her women. And also Shania, who doesn't love Shania? She's the best.
I feel like Shania and Dr. Sheila have the same like psychology thinking, like to be like, oh, you're a rocket scientist. That doesn't impress me much. That takes a lot to think that.
Oh, nice. Yes.
You're Brad Pitt. Come on. Like that takes a lot of fortitude.
She's like, show me what else you got. Exactly. Not
my God. Brew, you really pulled out you had Shania lyrics ready.
Listen, I'm in this. It's right here. I don't have to look for it. It's living.
No, yeah.
Who doesn't feel like a woman some days? So, well, thank you so much for the time. What a time. What a way to end it with Shania.
We got Brew to talk about his own feelings about it. Sometimes he feels like a woman. Sometimes that's great. So
good. I mean,
say more.
What?
I just want you to know I'm in this space too. If you ever need a guest to play a part, would love to dive into that world and give my inner darkest secrets. But I appreciate the time today. I'm so excited for everyone who hasn't had a chance to listen yet. To say more, check it out on the Audacy app or wherever you get podcasts. And Amy, Liz, it was an honor getting to talk to you guys. Thank you so much again for the time, and keep having fun with the podcast. Can't wait to hear more episodes.
Thank you.
Nice to talk to you too. Thanks again.